Men of Reddit, at what point in your life did you realize what being a man really meant? When 3 days went by, when I was in a bad financial situation and I didn't eat any food, just so my kids had a stomach full of it instead. When my father died and my mother, who has rapidly progressing Alzheimer's, needed support emotionally, physically and financially, because my older sister is not reliable and steals valuables and finances from my mother. I finally learned what it was like to be selfless, and I did, and still do, everything I can to support and take care of her. I stopped pussyfooting around, got my shit together, and put together an application for the IB union, so I can start making some legitimate money to help keep her in a very good assisted living facility. Signed power of attorney documents and other necessary things so I can take care of bills, real estate and properties under her name, and essentially fill the role of guardian. No matter what I'm doing, I call her up multiple times a day and visit her every other day. Yep, those all sounded like a lot of adult words. Realizing that everyone is just a person that you can talk to as if they were your age, young and old. Everyone has either been your age or you've been their age. No point in being afraid to talk to people and figure stuff out. One of my first shit I'm an adult moments was when I was working the forge at a historical site and people were asking me for advice. Your classic tough looking guy, probably mid 40s, was asking the skinny 18-year-old for advice with tools. Huge boost to my confidence. First time I really felt like I knew what I was doing. Mine was visiting my grandparents, and on my way down the drive to leave, I see this kid, about 15 years old, all trendy looking, across the street. I took a double take and asked, "Hey, have you always lived here?" He said, "Yeah." I replied, "Dude, I held you when you were a baby. I was 11 when he was born." Today a guy I was taking a class with said he was gonna party like it was 1999 tonight. Other people in class not only didn't understand the reference, but had to explain that they weren't even alive in 1999. Someone please press the stop button, I want off this ride. When I dated this one girl for a while and realized that hey, this could be it, and started making real life decisions, like what do I do when I get out of the Navy, how will I support us, and such. We broke up, but that was the moment. Mine was similar. The breakup helped in a way too, made me figure out how to stand up for myself and what I actually want for when it does happen. Same here. It made me realize I wasn't ready to support us. I had things I wanted to try and do still, and being with her made it impossible. My husband said it was when we got married and when he heard a strange noise in the middle of the night, and he was the one who had to go discover what was causing it, not his dad. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for the gold. This was similar to my moment. It happened for me when I realized that if someone comes in my house, I'm the only one between them and my family. Oddly enough, after I realized this, I started to sleep a lot less, and I became a much lighter sleeper. I had someone trying to break into my wood shop a few years ago, around 1 AM. I was about 23 at the time. I woke up, went to the door with a baseball bat, and yelled, "Can I help you?" I guess I was halfway there, haha. So polite, even when someone is breaking into your house. When my wife was diagnosed with a terminal cancer, and I had to carry her, manage the house and bills and pets, and ensure that she would die well, instead of in pain and terror, I did this while fighting my in-laws and my own father every step of the way, because they either couldn't handle the situation, my in-laws, or thought they knew better than me what needed to be done, my father. I backed them all down, handled what needed to be done, and held my wife in my arms and sang to her as she died in peace and comfort. That was when I realized what being a man truly meant to me. Also, that was when everyone else around me truly understood I was my own man, including my father, and respected me for it. I'm female, but everything came full circle at my cousin's funeral. He died very suddenly after a long battle with cancer. I realized the torch had passed when the adults who managed his illness were too tired and in shock to handle the proceedings. Giving his eulogy was the hardest thing I've had to do. It made me realize that whatever was left of my childhood was over. I'm glad I did it and would do it all over for him again. You are a strong person and good man for taking care of your wife. Wait, you are supposed to figure it out? A grad student asked me for advice on shaping her dissertation today, and I spent some time discussing her topic based on my experience of the field. It made me realize, maybe, there's no such thing as an adult. Yeah, I keep asking people when they became an adult and no one can really say. I just turned 27 and I still feel like a teenager just trying to fit in with the other grown-ups. I realized it more and more after I reached certain milestones. Education, job, car, house, wife, children, etc. The more responsibilities that crept into my life, the more I realized I was perfectly capable of them all. Good for you, man. Hope you keep on realizing the same. I'm still stuck in the second one and really feel like half a man. When my father with Alzheimer's was walking down the street lost, I put my hand on his shoulders and said, "Come on home, Dad." This is when it hit me that the parent becomes the child and I needed to now be the man of the family. My dad has dementia. On my last visit he asked one of my kids, "Who is your father?" while I was standing next to him. This hit me right in the feels. Not nearly the same, but my neighbor recently passed because of it. I remember the first time I had to babysit him. Ended up calling my mother crying, forbidding either parent from ever getting it. I feel for you, man, and I wish you all the best. After my ex lost the kids to Children's Aid a year after our breakup, I flew back home, started my life over for the second time in a year, went to court for my angels to come home, and after a year and a half of court dates, finally had them come home with me. Now I work my ass off to make them happy, which in turn makes me happy. Been 2 years since, and although my social life is almost non-existent, I have 4 sarcastic kids that annoy me more than any group of friends ever could. Cool guy emoji. Sarcastic kids love that. They are thinkers. Better to be a smartass than a dumbass. My dad. When my dad was hospitalized, and my bro and mom needed support. It's a tough place. When my dad was passing of cancer, I had to stay strong for my mom and be her rock. I held back a lot of feelings because of it. That just hit me hard. My mom survived colon cancer a few years back, and it's a strange thought imagining how my dad would have been forever different if she didn't make it. Same with me. Sorry for your loss, brother. When you start scheduling your own doctor's appointments, not just skip the doctor altogether and hope you don't die. I mean, that's the way of things for us poor folk. A friend of mine was in danger of relapsing into self-harm and had accidentally revealed that he was carrying a pencil sharpener blade. I stopped driving him home and had a 30-minute intervention in a mall parking lot until he handed it over. It made me realize that you can't afford to hesitate when someone's safety is on the line. As a 13-year-old whose crush is self-harming, what can I do to help her? How should I talk to her? When a park manager asked me at 10 PM while sitting in a playground smoking a bowl, "Aren't you a little old to be here?" Edit old. 10 PM is an awkward age. When I was a scared 20-year-old E1 in a gun truck pushing north to Baghdad, I realized then that, to me, a large part of being a man was to take actions that frightened you, but to do them anyway. This can be applied to other things besides war, like buying a house or becoming a father. After I turned 18, I had a good long think about it, and I realized that there's absolutely no meaning at all. Guys can be stone masculine, they can be feminine, gay, straight, bi, asexual, whatever, strong, emotional, weak, creative, smart, ugly, handsome. There's literally nowhere to draw the line between manly and not manly. I think the real meaning is knowing who you are and knowing where you're headed in life, or at least having the will to work those things out. Identity is a strange intangible thing. The majority of these answers directly apply to being a woman as well. We are really just all figuring out life and what it is to be an adult human. Well, 22 here, and I'm still figuring it all out, that's for sure. But recently I've started to notice it's that point in maturity you realize that the world is so much bigger than just your life. Every single person in the world has a life, just as complex as you do, as with memories and thoughts, and it's really not that hard to do the right thing. Sometimes it's really hard to do the right thing. In fact, for me, it's almost always harder to do anything than nothing. Doing the right thing is usually especially harder because I know it'll take more effort. But I guess that's where being an adult comes into play.